You know, there's something about the ending of this episode that reminds me about this. Yeah, talk about a gut punch.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Will, and we are at our penultimate episode, episode 5 of Marvel's Moon Knight. This is going to be my spoiler review for episode 5, entitled The Asylum, and we are picking up immediately after that hell of a cliffhanger that we got in episode 4. Before I talk about the episode, I just want to say hi, thanks for checking out this video. And if this is your first time checking out this video, please, if you enjoy it, why not consider subscribing to the channel? I do movie reviews, reactions, discussions, whole bunch of different things all wrapped around geekiness. So if that's your bag, why not subscribe to the channel? Help a brother out. And like I said, if I didn't say it already, because I don't remember just in the last 25 seconds. This is a spoiler review, so if you have not watched the latest episode of Marvel's Moon Knight, make sure that you pause this video and go check out the episode, and then come back and hear my overall thoughts on the episode. We got a lot of reveals in this episode, so I'm going to be talking about those big reveals and where I think this is leading to the finale that we should be getting next week for Moon Knight. So, this episode picks up immediately after the events of episode 4, where Mark and Steven are in some sort of asylum or mental hospital, and they are confronted by a giant hippopotamus. That hippopotamus is the goddess Thor. Sorry if I'm messing up the name, but she is the goddess of motherhood and fertility. And she is also the one who is currently ferrying them off to the afterlife, because she confirms our suspicions that yes, they were shot and killed and they are in some sort of holding purgatory type space. So everyone is kind of different. They also name drop and reference it's like the land of the ancestors, which I believe is a reference to Black Panther and Wakanda, when they would take the heart-shaped herb and he can communicate with the ancients, with the past Black Panthers and stuff in the afterlife. So I think that was what the reference was in this episode. But Mark and Steven are to be judged, and their hearts were removed and put on the scales to be judged against the feather. And if they are balanced, they would be allowed to enter the field of reefs and the afterlife. If not, they would be pulled to the sand and then frozen there for all eternity. So it's kind of a heavy episode. This episode does a really confusing yet ingenious way of kind of keeping you guessing as to what is real and what is make-believe, because we keep jumping back and forth with Mark having this conversation with Dr. Harrow, played by Ethan Hawke, who is trying to help Mark come to terms with a lot of his past trauma and different things like that, and also coming to terms with Steven and really answering the question, who came first, Steven or Mark? That was a question that he posed during their discussion, which constantly flips back and forth between that and Mark and Steven trying to find a way to balance themselves in order to be accepted into the afterlife. Mark doesn't necessarily want to go to the afterlife. He wants to stop Harrow because he still firmly believes that Harrow is up to no good. And we get some more confirmation of that, and it's nice to have that confirmation with Tarwood there in order to want to help them, but she can't do much until they are balanced. And so we go down a trip of memory lane through Mark and Steven's shared past, and we get to understand what caused the dissociative identity disorder to begin, and what was the trauma. And we also got to finally see the initial birth of Mark as Khonshu's avatar and becoming Moon Knight. Mark's is the actual person. He is the core being of the Mark and Steven persona that we have. Steven is the creation of Mark based off of the abuse that Mark suffered at the hands of his mother. So, unfortunately, Mark's past has always been laced with blood and death. Mark's trauma begins at a very young age, where he is unfortunately one of the factors that led to the death of his younger brother. Randall, I believe, is the name of his younger brother. And the loss of her youngest son drove Mark's mother to a very dark depression, and she took all that depression and anger out on Mark, and just led to an abusive relationship between Mark and his mother, which is very heartbreaking to see because it's not Mark's fault. Even though his mother blamed Mark, it was an accident. It was not intentional. But Mark, unfortunately, had to bear it for many, many years. And dealing with that sort of trauma and all those painful memories of his experience with his mother is where Steven was created. Mark created Steven out of grief and out of wanting to have, I guess, a version of himself that has a happy life, and that is where Stephen Grant comes in. And it comes as a total shock and total blow to Stephen, because Stephen always felt that he was the primary being and Mark was the one who was the made up, the representation of his psychosis. Stephen was Mark's way of escaping that pain and that drama and trauma that his mother inflicted on him. It's not explored as much in the episode, but Stephen's father is also suffering while also trying to somehow keep the family together, but that just leads Mark to just leave and never wanting to come back. And we get answered that Mark's mother did eventually die as well. And Mark never really confronted it, never wanted to be a part of it, even though he was there at the funeral just from a distance. At that point was when Mark and Stephen's lives began to bleed into one another, as Mark explained to Stephen once all this information came to light. Also, through the flashbacks, we finally get to see Mark dying at the feet of the statue of Khonshu, and Khonshu offers Mark the chance to survive and be his fist of justice and vengeance. And the whole time, Stephen is finally seeing this act in real time and realizes, like we've all kind of realized after episode 3 and 4, that Khonshu has been very manipulative and took advantage of Mark in his dying moments in order to use him as his avatar. And even Stephen calls it out, like, rightly, but even Mark assumed that he was just being spared in order to continue to be what he has always felt that he was, as a killer. We get to see a lot of representation of all the people that Mark has killed, which is very shocking to Stephen. Stephen in this episode definitely comes more into his own, more so than what we've seen in previous episodes. He finally understands who he is, the genesis of his creation. And while at first he is very much shocked and angry at Mark with the reveal of the trauma that his mother did, and how his own creation for the most part was meant to help protect Mark, because Mark had endured so much pain and trauma from what he experienced with his mother. That's a big revelation. And we see that when Stephen actually makes the sacrifice play to save Mark from being dragged off the boat into the sands. And that's why I referenced the Bing Bong moment from Inside Out. It's very reminiscent of that moment. Oscar Isaac kills it in his performance in this entire episode, bouncing between Stephen and Mark. And I really love how they found a way to really make that whole duality on camera with both versions of them in the same space look flawless. It looks really good. But yeah, Oscar Isaac just delivers such a fantastic performance in this episode, and which he's done all season. I mean, he's done it throughout the entire series. I can see why this sort of series, I guess, spoke to him as an actor, because he gets to portray these two different versions of the same character in very dramatic fashion. And it's such a great performance. I'm so loving the performance. This is probably my favorite episode of this season, and which is funny because we get no Moon Knight in this episode. The pacing of the series has still always been an issue with me, especially as we get towards the finale, because it feels like I really want another 2 episodes to really get us back into the whole Haro situation before we get to the finale. But we're at the finale now, and I feel like there's so many loose ends that they're going to have to shove together in 40 minutes. I feel like some things are just going to be left on the cutting room floor. I love the design of Tarwart. It's really good. I mean, from a special effects standpoint, it's a really good facade. I mean, it looks great. I mean, I was really impressed with that. I was really impressed with every time she was on camera, because she felt like she belonged in space. It didn't feel like CG. The however they did it, the designing of it was great. Once they get toward the gate, unfortunately, the scales are still not balanced. And that's when the spirits from the sand start attacking the boat and trying to drag Mark down into it, where Steven finally gets the courage, because he knows now who he is. He knows he is Mark, and if he is Mark, he has the same skill set. And he starts helping defend Mark, to Mark's surprise. But, before Mark is pulled off the boat, Steven saves him by tackling the spirit off the boat, which leads to Steven beginning to freeze in the sand. And it's really sad, because it's not like he doesn't accept it. He's not like, go on without me. No, he's like, yo, come back. And Mark is screaming for Steven. It reminds me so much of that Inside Out moment, which is traumatizing, but it's really sad. And the worst part about it is, once Steven is gone, the scales balance, because Mark is now whole at this point, and he's allowed into the field of reeds in the afterlife, and that's where the episode ends. And I'm like, okay, what is going to happen now? This is one of the things. I really love this episode, but I feel like we need like 2 more episodes of the series before we get to the finale for it to really all, like, I don't know, to make sense. I'm really enjoying the series. I think this is, from a performance standpoint, this is one of the best performances, I want to say, since like WandaVision. Because I thought, Elizabeth Olsen killed it in WandaVision, how she expressed that pain and trauma during that series. And I feel like this is like as good as that, if not a little bit better, because I think between Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke's portrayal of their characters in the series, it has been like next level performances, and I've loved everything about it. I'm not a fan of how little we've gotten of Layla. Like, Maya Calloway, every time she's on screen, she's great. But I just feel like she's kind of gotten lost in the shuffle, and I don't feel like it's her fault. I feel like it is, unfortunately, a symptom of the series only being 6 episodes, is that the pacing just feels really off. While I love everything we're getting, the pacing is causing it now to be, okay, well, we're at the finale, now what? Is this going to lead into a second season? Because if they end up doing a second season of this, fantastic. But I also can see this turning into like a Midnight Suns, where they might pick up with any loose ends in Midnight Suns if they decide to do that. So those are just like, that's a little something about the pacing and the restriction of only being 6 episodes that I feel like is a detriment to the series, because the series is great, but I feel like we're needing an extra episode or two. Like, if they do 8 episode series instead of 6, I think it would be great. This is how I felt about the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Albeit it wrapped up okay, I still feel like it would have been better if it had an extra episode or 2. Even with Hawkeye probably could have stood to have an extra episode or 2. I mean, besides his mother being abusive, besides his partner betraying him, and with Khonshu pretty much using Mark's in his moment of death as just another form of abuse. So this whole series has been about identity, what is real and what is not, and how abuse can cause these things to develop. It's really deep stuff, and that's one thing I really loved about the Disney Plus series of the different subject matters that they try to tackle, is that they're willing to go to these places and really explore these things. But the catch-22 of it all is that you don't get enough time for it, because the series are only like 6 episodes. And I think they need to, going forward with some of the other series that they come out with, they really need to give them more time to breathe, more time for us to really digest all the subject matters that they're going with. Because I think Moon Knight is a great series, and I've loved all the performance and the characters that we've gotten. I just feel like a few of them are becoming underserved. And also, I think the story is now suffering because now, what are we getting with the finale? Because currently, Mark is in the afterlife. He died, and he was able to be balanced enough to go and move on. But what does that mean for Haro and his releasing of Amit? Is Layla going to survive? These are all questions that I'm sure we will get answers for in the finale. And this is, I'm curious to see how this finale, how it wraps up. I think this finale is going to be a little bit different. I could be wrong. The finale could end up being your, standard by the book action sequence. Mark defeats Haro and they stop Amit from being birthed, and he continues on as Moon Knight now without Steven. Or does Steven come back? Because Mark created Steven, but will will Steven back into existence? Like, how does that work? I don't know how they're going to do it all in 40 minutes. I really don't know, but we'll just have to wait and see. But overall, I think this is probably my favorite episode. I really love the visuals. I love that we got all the reveals and our walk down memory lane, and really understood Mark Spector as a person and as a character now. They did a good job getting all the major plot points and answers revealed, but how are you going to wrap it up? That is where my curiosity will lead us until next week. I'm sure there's other things I probably missed, so let me know those in the comments down below. But that is my overall thoughts and spoiler review for episode 5 of Moon Knight. Let me know yours in the comments down below. I am very tired, but it's been a rough one. But I wanted to get this recorded so I can get this posted as soon as possible, because I will be traveling again next week, and you'll see me talk about the finale from a different location. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. As always, thank you so much for watching this and all of my videos. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to me. And these trying times for myself where I look like I'm drunk, but I'm not drunk. I'm just tired. But, seeing that people are watching them, seeing the comments, giving your thoughts of it in the comments down below, it really means a lot to me. And for something that's just a hobby, it's just nice, and it's just nice. So I appreciate you, every person who has subscribed, liked, shared a video, commented, whatever. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot, and I want you all to know and understand that. So we'll definitely be back and talk about the finale. We got some other stuff coming with, Obi-Wan Kenobi comes out at the end of May. We've got Ms. Marvel debuting pretty soon as well. I do know that we get Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness next week, which, by the way, I do have an eye of Agamotto. It's up there. I'm not going to pull it down right now, but it will be when I do the review. And I will definitely try to go see it this weekend. I'm going to be traveling this week, but I will be back and with a review for Multiverse of Madness. I'm very excited for it. And subscribe to the channel. Check that out once those drop. You can follow me on a whole bunch of social media platforms listed at the end of this video. We've got a ton of videos on this channel that you're more than welcome to check out. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And as always, until next time, I will catch you later. Hey, thanks for watching this video. If you did like this video, why not give me a thumbs up and share it with your friends? You can subscribe to the channel by clicking on my gorgeous little face right over there. You can follow me on all the various social media platforms right below. And last but certainly not least, if you've got a few extra minutes, why not check out one of the lovely videos floating right over here. Later.